Miss Hoffman's class. This is week 5, Tuesday, and this lesson is called Sacagawea. So as autumn approached, Lewis and Clark were in a hurry. They knew the Rocky Mountains lay ahead, and they hoped to spend the winter there among the Mandan and the Hidatsa, who were both Native American tribes. However, it was already so cold that the river was freezing into ice, and when the river froze, it was impossible to travel up the river by their boat, which would make the trip so much longer, right? Because they'd have to walk instead of going by boat. Where the Knife River flows into the Missouri, Lewis and Clark found 5 villages of Hidatsa and Mandan Native Americans. Like other Native Americans living on the plains, these people were hunted bison, also known as buffalo, from horseback. They also lived in permanent earth lodges and farmed the land around their homes. So we talked about how some Native Americans live in permanent homes and some carry their homes with them as they travel. These houses were in the ground and they were permanent, so they didn't move anywhere. 4 or 5 families shared each lodge, and even the horses spent bad weather days inside in a roped-off space just inside the entrance. The Mandans especially welcomed the travelers from the east because they were used to visitors. Other Native American tribes and trappers came to the Mandan area to share news and to buy and sell furs from the beavers, bears, elk, or bison. Across the river from the Mandan villages, the explorers built a wooden house and surrounded it with log walls 18 feet high. So how tall are you? And how many of you would it take to make 18 feet high? You can ask your parents for help on that one. Alrighty. So the men from the Corps of Discovery called their winter home Fort Mandan, named after the Mandan Native Americans. They dragged the pyros onto the riverbank, but before they could move the keelboat, the river froze around it. It took 3 weeks to chop the keelboat out of the ice. They had other worries too. Lewis told Clark, "We're eating so much food that we will run out before the winter is over, and in this terrible weather, it's getting hard to hunt." So you can see here, the image is of the keelboat frozen in ice. Could you imagine working for 3 weeks to get that out? That'd be crazy, right? Thankfully, the Mandans appeared one day to tell them, "We have found a herd of bison nearby. Come hunting with us. We have brought horses for you to ride." The result was more food and warm blankets made from their hides. As the winter nights grew long and temperatures plunged 20 to 30 degrees below zero, the explorers also traded with the Mandan for food. In return for the food the Mandan gave them, Lewis and Clark acted as doctors for the members of the tribes who were sick and injured, and several of the explorers who were skilled as blacksmiths made iron tools, axes, and arrowheads for the Mandan. So from this, do you think that Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery and the Native Americans treated one another fairly? The party spent many cold nights asking the Hidatsas and the Mandans about the country that lay ahead. Lewis and Clark kept all the information they learned in a journal. So what do you think they were keeping a journal? Then one day, a French-Canadian trader appeared at the gates of Fort Mandan. He announced, "I am Toussaint Charbonneau. I heard about you from the Hidatsas. I am an excellent cook, and I speak English, French, and several Native American languages. I could cook for you and translate what is said in other languages into English." Lewis and Clark couldn't speak any Native American languages, so they needed people who could talk to the Native American people they would meet. Also, one of the 3 tasks was to befriend the Native Americans. So Charbonneau had not come alone. With him was a very pregnant wife, a young Native American woman named Sacagawea. Sacagawea was a member of the Shoshone tribe who lived farther along the Missouri River. The Shoshone were the next tribe that Lewis and Clark expected to meet. Lewis and Clark discussed Charbonneau's offer. Sacagawea could be helpful when we reach the lands of the Shoshone. She could show the Shoshone that we come as friends, and she knows a lot about the countryside there. As for Charbonneau, if he is the cook he claims to be, he's welcome in addition to our party. Lewis told Charbonneau, "We want you and your wife to join us, and of course we will pay for your work." So, Lewis and Clark thought that Sacagawea could be a guide and a translator for the expedition, right? All right. This turned out to be one of the best decisions the co-captains ever made. And while they had agreed to hire the 2 new members of the expedition, they soon had 3. One cold night, Sacagawea gave birth to a little boy. Charbonneau, the new father, looked proudly at his newborn son and said, "We shall call you Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau." William Clark laughed. "That's an awful big name for such a little fellow, Carrie. I'll call him Pompey." Pompey proved to be a good little traveler, too. Lewis and Clark organized their notes and drawings and labeled samples of plants and animals they had gathered. When spring came, Clark announced, "We have decided to split the party into 2 groups. We will send some of you back to the east to take President Jefferson the things we have collected and written. The rest of us will continue west. Remember, there were no telephones and no emails yet, and there was no way to send mail in the Louisiana Territory. Lewis and Clark sent some of the Corps of Discovery to tell Jefferson of their progress and what they had found so far. On April 7th, 1805, some of the party returned back east as planned. They carried with them 4 boxes and a trunk full with plants and rock samples, as well as the captain's journal and drawings. They also took with them some living animals, such as magpies and prairie dogs. Lewis told Clark, "I wish I could see President Jefferson's face when that magpie starts chattering away. The president will be pleased, and he will be delighted with all the information in our journals and drawings." Clark replied, "He will even be happier when you and I report to him in person that we have reached the Pacific." Then the 2 men started westward once more with the remaining men, 1 woman, Sacagawea, and a baby. Alrighty, so some questions to think about as we go into our craft for today. So who did Lewis and Clark spend the winter with? So what Native American groups? There were 2 of them. When the river started to freeze, why did Lewis and Clark have trouble moving their boats through the water? And finally, who was Sacagawea? Alrighty, everybody, go check out our craft for today.